Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I am back. Hope everyone survived okay. The market sell off. I missed the sell off. Oh, I missed the live streams of the sell off. I witnessed the sell off, except for really Monday, Tuesday. It's hard to when you're driving. When you're driving, across the country, it's hard to pay attention to the tick by tick action. It just is. So, I hope everyone's doing fantastic. Missed everybody. Thank you for tuning back in. Still trying to get everything a little set up. Still working with internet challenges, but hopefully we have at least the bandwidth set aside to do the live streams. Good morning, John. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Legion Reaver. Good morning, Patrick. Hey, Sterling with the news. Thank you, everyone. Let's see. You got a lot of good. Yeah. It's quite rare for SPX to be negative for more than 6 days in a row over the past 30 years. The longest streak has only occurred 7 times, with the last stretch taking place in 2020. And we are oversold. So I'm watching for at least some kind of potential bounce before another down leg. Another down leg. And there we go. Downgrades, big 6 stocks: Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia to neutral from overweight. Would have been nice if they did that before the sell-off. Oh, good. $7 billion for rooftop solar. That's good. That's good. Let's see. What else? Yeah, Tesla's going to gap down below the final target on the double, which took a long time to play out. And there we go. Welcome back, everybody from Sterling. Hello, Charles. Hey, Eric. Good morning. I sent the markets lower. Thank you. And the dogs. I saw something. How did the dogs fare? Legend did not do so well. It was a nightmare with Legend. And then he had ended up at the emergency vet on Wednesday afternoon. Or was it Thursday afternoon? I forget which day. I think it was, it's just all blending together still. He was at the emergency vet for some blood loss issues. So, he did not fare so well, but he's recovering now. It's just been a doozy of a move, but I am out in Scottsdale now, so everybody let me know what time zone you want me to use. I'm not going to use right now since Scottsdale doesn't change time. One of the sane states that doesn't. It will, so everybody else shifts. But I'm going to either use Central or Eastern time. I'd still prefer to use Central time because of the CME. But if people want Eastern time, just let me know what works best for the channel, and we will use that. Let me know over the next couple days. We're not going to make a change this week. We'll keep it on Central for this week. So we already had the Chicago Fed National Activity Index come out this morning. Got to figure out this camera placement too, and the lighting situations. It's 6:09 here. Been up since very early. Been up since dark 30. Chicago Fed National Activity Index 0.15, expected 0.9, so that's bouncing, and all we have today is 3 and 6 month auctions. Tomorrow we have the S&P Global Manufacturing, Composites and Services, and then the Richmond Fed Manufacturing and Services, but it's really at home sales. It's light going into Thursday, Friday. Wednesday, the EIA numbers, durable goods, and EIA numbers and mortgage stuff. Friday comes in advanced numbers, the first reading of the growth for Q1. So we're done with Q4. The Q1 readings come out. We have jobless claims, as always, on Thursdays, unless there's a holiday. And what else do we have? Consumer spending. We have pending home sales. We have Kansas City Fed Manufacturing and Composite. And then Friday we have the PCE numbers for March. The highly anticipated PCE numbers. So people are saying PCE is going to come in lower versus CPI. Well, we will see. We will see. Hold on. I'm still on my travel mug. My travel mug. We're still unpacking. We had to take the day off a bit from unpacking yesterday and do some other stuff, like get some food and other things. So we took sort of a break from unpacking yesterday. But the unpacking will resume later today. Let's see, we have consumer sentiment also on Friday, the final numbers for April. So that's where we sit this week. So Thursday and Friday are the important days. So far, we're bouncing in the mega caps, except for, well, Tesla. It's already down the big six. So Tesla's disappeared from that. And we'll take a look at Tesla because Tesla's down another 4%. But everything else, oil's slightly pulling back in energy, but everything else is chugging along. Verizon had their earnings and up right there. The groups, we have only basic materials and energy pulling back. Everything else is positive with comm services and technology and financial leading the way. The Fed watch now is priced into only one cut per year for this year. One cut is priced in, and the first cut does not start in till the earliest of September. Even the July cut has been priced out. Now that could change again, but right now we'll have to see if how that changes with the PCE numbers and the GDP numbers. But right now, it's one cut starting in the later half of the year. And fear and greed, we're still in fear, not in extreme fear. So I'm watching for some kind of bounce around here. I'll show you exactly what I'm looking at. What else do we have? Let's see. Good morning, Anissa. Thank you, George. Welcome. Thank you. My voice sounds desert dusty. Richard votes Eastern time. Eastern time. Gold crash? I wouldn't know. It could easily pull back. I wouldn't say for a crash. All right, well, maybe we'll go with Eastern time. It's a little drier out here, too, so my voice might have a little more issues till I get used to it. It's 12% humidity. It's nice and dry in the desert. A little chilly this morning, 62 degrees. A little chilly, but it'll get to a high of 95 today, so not too bad. All right. In terms of earnings, we already had Verizon with Sterling put in there. I saw that. Rest of the day isn't much in terms of market moving stuff. Not that Verizon was either, but it was interesting to see Verizon there. Tomorrow we have GM, UPS, GE, Pepsi, Lockheed Martin, Spotify in the morning. Those are the big ones. Halliburton. After the close, a lot of people will be focused on Tesla, but we also have very important for consumer spending Visa. Then we get our $7 billion of rooftop solar, so you get Enphase playing in there. But the big one tomorrow will be Tesla. Wednesday, we got Boeing, AT&T, General Dynamics, Meta. After the close on Wednesday, Ford, Chipotle. Big day also Thursday. In the morning, you have American Airlines, which is probably, and Caterpillar, which are the biggest two from my perspective. But after the close, you got Microsoft, Alphabet, and Intel. Those are the big ones Thursday. And then Friday kicks off oil and energy with you got Exxon and Chevron are the big ones. So still a busy week with earnings. Now, where do we stand with the market? So very significant pullback. Let me put this on in a different color. Let me put this on right now. It did not hit potential double bottom territory. So right now, the key area I'm watching for support is the 62.5 is 49.99, so 5,000 on a closing basis, roughly, is the key support area. The breakout area, pay attention to Friday's high. Why Friday's high? Because if it does rally and get above Friday's high and close with cycles being at the bottom, it's a percent beat buy, but risk and reward might be way too tight. Remember, just because something triggers does not mean you can get a proper position on, because it's a bounce into the rotation zone, with the rotation zone clearly being against it. And the first target area is only is below 5,100. So roughly around 5,080, because that'll keep getting pulled down. So now, in order to really resume anything more than a bounce, and it could be a multi-day bounce, this has to close about 51.95 again, which is roughly the breakdown area and the 62.5 from the highs back at April 1st to the lows from the 19th. So that's a long way off, and it's against the rotation zone. Now, from a weekly perspective, Last week it closed within very close. It spiked below the rotation zone and closed slightly above it. So this is going to be interesting. I think this is going to be a multi-leg pullback. A multi-leg pullback, but where you generally get to the bottom of the rotation zone, get some kind of bounce, and then it's really important to watch this 49.90 area on a weekly closing basis. So being oversold and cycles at a bottom, watching for some kind of bounce and paying very close attention to Friday's high. In terms of other things intraday, right now I'm just using these retracement harmonics. We've stalled out here at this 50.34 area. You can see stalling out there before the cash open. Then we have 50.46, and then we have this 50.56 to 50.58 area. 50.58 being the high of Friday. Then above there to continue would be that about 50.80 to 50.85 with the rotation zone and the 8 EMA. And then we have about 50.96. Apple and Tesla finally triggered. Not sure if earnings season will rescue at this point. Jacob likes Eastern as well. Okay, it's looking like we're getting votes for Easter. So we may well do that. I'll have to shift everything, but let me know. Thank you for the feedback so far. So that's what I'm looking at. The only thing that changes me out of bounce mode in the short term is if we pull back. The two key pullback levels I'm looking at are 5,010 and then 49.99 to 5,000. If we close below 49.95, I'm looking for a retest of the Friday low area. NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, which plummeted, finished that very sloppy double top and then came down here. Let's just clean up the chart a bit to the next major little support window area, which I'm going to take off right now. We have, again, same thoughts. The bounce, the key area I'm watching on the NASDAQ is the retracements from the high on Friday to the low on Friday. Here are the levels. 17,333. Let me change the color on this one. 17,333. It's right here. And then more importantly, 17,338.25 on at least a 4-hour closing basis. If we get above there, then I'll be watching for the other side of the 4-hour rotation zone and roughly the high areas from Friday. But I'll use 17,443.25, 17,498 to about 17,512, and then 17,553 to 17,566 are the key areas. Support, same thing. If we come down here to the 1 hour, minor support is coming in at 17,257. Major support's about 17,218 to 17,220. We have a little gap left behind too. So if it breaks down below that, it would be for the gap fill of 17,179. Same thoughts here though. Now for the NASDAQ, for me to get bullish, back in the longer term again, we have to get above 18,110.50 on a closing basis, which is also just above the breakdown area. We have the rotation zone clearly against it. So I am watching just for a bounce at this point. The weeklies, it closed below the weekly rotation zone. So technically it's in bearish mode on the daily. Weekly mode is in neutral. So weekly mode's in neutral. It's going to take a lot of heavy lifting to get this back, because for me to get back into bullish mode, it needs to get above this 18,1. What was the exact level? The 18,110.50. The Dow also in bearish on the daily. The Dow already has passed Friday's high, which as long as it closes above Friday's high is a percent beat buy, and it's also above the 8. So the next target area will be closer to the 21, and the key thing I'm watching is about 38,730 on the bounce. But the Dow to get back in the bullish mode needs to get above 39,272 on a daily closing basis. So that is in little buy mode. The Dow closing it's still in bullish mode. Has not closed below the rotation zone. All right, but again, on the that is on the weekly. On the daily, it's still in bearish mode. But Dow 39,272 on the closing basis. Very key support is coming in right around this 37,850 area. Russell, also bearish on the daily, finally came down, sitting at the 200 and very key support. Very key support. Right there. So, key support is about 1947 to 1950. We break below there, would watch for the retest of Friday's lows, and then the key area. It's really 1903 to 1915. If you start breaking 1903, going to be watching that 1838. Other than that, this would be a bounce play only. Yes, above Friday's high would be a %B buy, but the first target area is only 1989, so that might only be able to be played intraday. Yes, the demarked cells did trigger. So that's where we sit here. VIX, we had the sharp spike on Friday, reversing back down. The key area I'm watching is about 1750 right now on the VIX. 1750, which I don't know if I can get a line. They're right around there. That's the key level on the VIX pullback. If we start coming below there, I'll start watching for a more sustained bounce. But that's the first key level that I'm looking at in terms of the VIX pulling back. And then it's about 1645 to 1650. The DAX, oops, little chart issue there. Coming down, again, this was also a %B buy on the break, which was the gap up, and the retracement to the high did not fill the gap, but this is a bounce mode as long as it closes above Friday's high. Watching for the bounce, the key level on the DAX still is 18,377 on a closing basis. The DAX on the daily is bearish, on the weekly is still bullish. But it needs to get above 18,377 before I get bullish on the daily again. The notes, this is getting into a really, it's still barely hanging on to a potential double, but it would have to close above this 1822 area for a bounce play. So, and we're probably going to mostly be constrained this week going into the GDP and PCE numbers. So the yield, for watching this, it still technically counts. It's very sloppy, but it still technically counts. But the yield would have to close back below 4.499 to trigger this topping pattern for a yield pullback in the yield. So that's still a fair way off. That was from the spike down on Friday. So that is very key level to pay attention to. I'm just putting a line there also because it's a key gap open in terms of yield. Right around there. So as long as that, I'd expect more of a consolidation or a retest, consolidation to a retest of last week's highs. 10-2s, not much to still talk about there, other than, let me take that off, other than still in consolidation mode. Dollar index in potential double top territory. So the only thing would be a close below 105.41. Other than that, still higher for the dollar because we are still in that inverse head and shoulders pattern, with the next target being 106.45 area. Crude, we have played out with the double. Little adjustment there. There we go. Played out with the double to the 50. We are getting to the cycle bottoms on the daily oversold conditions, with potentially today's high setting up a %B. So we're going to pay attention to that for crude. Other than that, the key bounce area is between 83.92 and 84.72. Other than this, is getting the pullback from overbought to oversold conditions with cycles at the bottom and weekly cycles still heading down. The very, very key support level is 80. So that's what I'm paying attention to right there. Gold does have a lopsided, sloppy potential double top. I guess still against the rotation zone. So lower probability. 2340.2 is key, is key on the closing basis. 2340.2. So we'll see if that triggers. And would that be a gold crash? No, it would be a gold pullback after coming out of massively overbought conditions. So, going to be watching for that. Would this be something I'd rush in and short? No, I'd be watching for the pullback for these key levels for potential buying opportunities. And the major one I pay attention to is about 2286, 2285. Remember, it's still just coming out of overbought on the weekly with cycle tops. Now, this is not a, the only thing that puts the damper on gold is if it closes back below 2058. Hold on one second. 2058. So that's a long way off. Everything else would just be an ordinary pullback. And in the short term, the key level, let me update this, is 2166, which is roughly the bottom of the weekly rotation zone and the 62.5 from the breakout move. So as long as we don't get a close in the short term below 2166, it's an ordinary pullback. Silver also pulling back. There is no double. Going to watch how it responds. These lines, I'll have to fix those lines in a bit. Not going to waste everybody's time, but we're having some selling in materials after a massive run-up. So, what else do we have? The yen still stalling out at the next key target cluster area. So, no yen intervention yet. Stalling out here. Key support coming in roughly. The first level is about 154, and then major support coming in at 153. 153. Euro, paying attention to this in case this little double does trigger for a bounce play in the euro. Other than that, it should still be on a downtrend because we're closed below the 62.5. So the next target area is 105.35. All right, the spiders. The spiders. Again, you can pay attention to Friday's high area. Friday's high coming in at 500.46 because above that would be as a bounce, and that's a bounce play only for %B buy. It has to close above that. Don't even know if that's going to get above it because its pre-market opening at 497.84 would need a lot of heavy lifting to get there. And that's only a bounce with the target being to the rotation zone, which is roughly right around 504 only. The key thing in the spiders is 513. 513.08 to be exact on the closing basis to put it back into daily bullish mode. Other than that, it's really Friday's high and then about 501.50. The Qs, then I'll get to some other stocks. The Qs, I doubt that would get above Friday's high, but that's going to be the key area. Also, right around 422.25 is the key area I'm watching. Intermediate is 411.75. 417.75. We're trading 417.28. Another thing, you can use the harmonics from Friday's bar in the short term. All right, let's take a look. Bitcoin, remarkably, still holding up very well with the halving. Bitcoin, this is still a sideways correction. But to really start it's confirmed but not triggered this ugly double top. It needs to get, though, to get back in the slight bullish mode, it needs to get above 68,436, 68,437 on a closing basis. It has not confirmed. It's confirmed has not triggered that double top. Tesla, We're at opening right now. You see the double is completed. On any bounce move, the rotation zone is against it, so key resistance is about 155. Still, the next magnet price is now the 87.5 because we've closed well below that 62.5, so 126.50. Sorry, I'm running long. Is that a buy with the rotation zone on the yields? On the yields, it would technically be a buy with the rotation zone, yes, on a close above Friday's high. It's already tried to break above there, but dip below. Remember, you'll probably have a lot of consolidation in this going into Thursday, Friday. So just keep that in mind in terms of a stop. Look at Paramount. Percent B buying the weekly with a potential double bottom in place. Sony considers a bid. It's got the potential, and you said on the weekly, yeah, that was a percent. Was it? Yeah, last week was a percent B buy, and there's the mini double. Is that a mini double? Does that work? Is it a double within a double? Yeah, you have a double within a double, because this still qualifies. This is still the right-hand side of this bigger double. It did not get high enough to turn it into a triple. So that's very interesting. And look how the levels line up. Look how the levels line up with the retracement harmonics. So that'll be interesting, but that was a weekly percent B buy with the flattening out rotation zone. Very interesting. And then you need the follow-through with the close above the high of 1380. That's very interesting chart. Thank you for pointing that out, Sterling. All right, let's just take a peek at the S&P. You don't know what's wrong with it, with the US dollar, Japanese yen. Well, the yen has got to a weakening level, and it's trading very cautiously because it's in major intervention territory. Okay, so that's what's going on. So there are a lot of, because you know what, if they intervene, it'll and try to strengthen it. It could be in for a sharp move. They haven't done anything yet, though. All right. All right. What do we have going on? Not much. Not much. Remember, everything's backloaded. So going in with the open, it's about this 50-20 area, 50-20 and a half to about 50-22 is key support. The key resistance is this 50-35 to 50-34. Other than that, we start breaking down. The major support is 50-10. How'd the tick open? The tick. Yeah. I mean, not a very strong, but a moderately strong open. So, but they can't get any traction. So I'm going to be watching for the bounce in the tick to see what the S&P can do on a bounce in the tick. All right. Other than that, not much to talk about. Thank you everybody for tuning back in and sticking with it. I really appreciate everyone coming back. So everything should be back to normal. Well, how was the quality? Was the sound and the video okay, or did we have any issues? Because again, I'm still dealing with internet challenges and trying to get everything properly set back up. So I'm just trying to gauge everything and let me know. Let me know, please. If I don't see it in the comments right now, just give me a comment on the YouTube video to let me know if there were any issues. And with that, I will talk to everyone later. Have a wonderful trading day. Bye for now.